afternoon. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of January. I'm Laura Cornfield, and this is IBA News broadcasting live from Jerusalem. Police questioned Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu under caution at his Jerusalem residence last night for 3 hours over suspicions that he had received gifts from two businessmen. Shortly after police left Netanyahu's residence, Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit released a statement confirming that he had ordered a criminal investigation against the Prime Minister, saying Netanyahu was questioned by police investigators from the Lahav 433 unit in accordance with his instructions on suspicions of receiving improper benefits from businessmen. In his statement, Mandelblit noted he had first ordered a probe against Netanyahu last June after receiving a long list of allegations from police. Mandelblit emphasized that only after he was presented with the opinion of the state attorney and information from police did it become apparent that there was sufficient evidence that justified questioning Netanyahu under caution. At the same time, Mandelblit noted that 4 cases of suspected wrongdoing by Netanyahu not connected to the current investigation were closed because of lack of evidence. Prior to the arrival of the police officers, a large curtain was erected in a bid to hide the arrival of police vehicles to the Prime Minister's residence. Netanyahu is likely to be questioned by police again in the coming days. Reacting publicly to his investigation in a post on his Facebook page today, Netanyahu repeated his claim that nothing will come out of this because there is nothing. The Prime Minister wrote that many years of daily persecution against him and his family turned out yesterday to be nothing. Netanyahu went on, questioning whether anyone in the media will ever apologize for the thousands of false headlines and hours of broadcasts which were disguised as quality investigative journalism, but in the end proved to be total nonsense. Ahead of tomorrow's highly anticipated verdict in the trial of Sergeant Elor Azaria, IDF Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot today said that an 18-year-old man who enlists in the IDF is a soldier who must give his life to protect us and not everyone's son, as he has repeatedly been referred to. Speaking at an event honoring the late Chief of Staff, Amnon Lipkin-Shachak, Eisenkot expressed his confidence in the court, stressing he has no say in the judgment. The Chief of Staff added that Army commanders are obligated to issue ethical statements in real time. He said the Army does not conduct public opinion surveys and is not elected by the people. It is our duty, he stressed, to ensure that the Army's core values are implemented in order to maintain its strength. Azaria's family came out strongly against the IDF Chief of Staff's comments, criticizing him for once again interfering in the outcome of the sentencing. Azaria's parents issued a statement accusing Eisenkot of lashing out against the notion that parents send their most precious children to an army who they believe has worthy commanders. Tomorrow morning, the highly publicized trial will come to an end when a 3-judge panel will decide whether Azaria, who shot a neutralized terrorist in March of last year, is guilty of manslaughter. A series of shootings in Haifa this morning. A religious services worker was shot dead this morning on the city's Hagiborim Street by an assailant who managed to flee the scene. That shooting came less than 30 minutes after another man, also connected to the city's religious services, was shot and moderately wounded on Ha'atzmaut Street, some 4 kilometers away. The wounded victim was identified as Rabbi Yechiel Iluz, a senior rabbinical court judge who also serves as the head of the city's conversion department. There, too, the suspect fled the scene, and police are continuing to comb the area in search of the shooter. Initial reports said the assailant was a woman. A gag order has been placed on both incidents, and police are investigating if there is a connection between the 2 shootings. In the Israeli Arab town of Tira this morning, thousands attended the funeral of 19-year-old Lian Nasser, who was murdered in a terror attack at an Istanbul nightclub on New Year's Eve. Among the mourners were representatives of the Palestinian Authority sent by PA President Mahmoud Abbas. A day of mourning was declared in the town today in solidarity with Nasser's family and to protest the shooting attack carried out by the Islamic State. Lian's mother called out to her daughter to wake up so she could hug her. Other family members said they were having difficulty in believing that they will no longer see Lian, whom they called the flower of the family. Speaking at the funeral, the mayor of Tira said, "It breaks the heart that such a young woman was murdered, and while sending our condolences to the family, we condemn all violence everywhere." Meanwhile, Turkish media reports identified the terrorist, who is still at large, as Aika Mashrepov, a 28-year-old from the Kyrgyz Republic. Yesterday, he released a selfie video clip walking in Taksim Square. It is unclear whether it was taken before or after the attack. A manhunt for the terrorist continues, with Turkish officials saying it's unclear if he fled the country. 39 people were killed and over 70 injured in the attack. Today, Turkish security forces arrested 2 foreigners at Istanbul airport, in addition to 8 other suspects whom they believe aided the terrorists. Hundreds attended the late-night funeral in Jerusalem's Har Menuchot ceremony, where the 4 sisters killed by their mother in a suspected murder-suicide Sunday were laid to rest. The 4 sisters, aged 11 years old to 11 months, were buried alongside their mother, who immigrated from France 13 years ago. The mother allegedly murdered the daughters before setting their room on fire and committing suicide in their Jerusalem apartment Sunday afternoon. The distraught father, who since the tragedy has been surrounded by friends, delivered a tearful eulogy, quoting from the book of Job. The Almighty giveth and taketh away, but what did he take? Small children. The father's parents arrived from France yesterday to accompany their son. Among those attending the funeral were many members of the French-Israeli community. In his eulogy, Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat said the capital and the entire state stood together in mourning with the family. Yesterday, the father gave police permission to conduct an autopsy on his 2 eldest daughters, and the findings strengthened suspicions of a murder-suicide. The father's lawyer said that while his client was aware that his wife suffered from postpartum depression, he could not see any warning signs suggesting she would even consider committing such an awful act. The names of the mother and children are still barred from publication. A strike in the country's elementary schools and kindergartens was nearly averted this morning after the Tel Aviv Labor Court ruled that school would start at 9 o'clock instead of 11 due to a warning strike by the teachers' union, which was called late last night. The court's decision was made at 8 a.m., leaving thousands of parents in the lurch, unsure whether to send their children to school or not. The teachers' union decided to launch the warning strike in protest of what they called the Education and Finance Ministry's unwillingness to respect previously signed agreements. The teachers' union noted that thousands of teachers have yet to receive salaries for the previous months. A statement issued by the Education and Finance Ministries called the teachers' union action aggressive, arbitrary, and reckless. In other labor actions, the Egged Bus Company is planning to wage a 1-day warning strike tomorrow in Jerusalem and areas surrounding the capital. The Histadrut Labor Union said the strike will go into effect at 5 a.m. because of the ongoing dispute over government funding for Egged bus drivers and the failure of the Transport Ministry, as well as the bus company's management, to meet their demands. The bus company has relied heavily on government subsidies in the form of annual transfers to cover operating costs and keep ticket prices down. Until now, the Transport and Finance Ministries have issued a request from Egged to increase subsidies over the next 18 years. The Knesset overnight approved postponing the opening of the new public broadcasting corporation called Khan until the end of April, with 32 MKs supporting the bill and 17 voting against. The vote culminated a 12-hour filibuster with Knesset members from opposition parties delivering 50-minute speeches in order to drag the vote out with the aim of preventing the delay. Those opposing demanded the new corporation should already begin broadcasting at the end of this month. Responding to the decision, the new corporation said it is prepared to launch its broadcasts at the end of April, promising to deliver quality programs. Meanwhile, the fate of hundreds of workers in the Israel Broadcasting Authority's radio and television still remains unclear. Many were rejected by the new corporation despite their years of experience, and others have yet to receive a reply. At present, the new corporation has no plans to continue with the televised English news, which is slated to shut down. A preliminary investigation into the fire that rocked Haifa Bay last week revealed the blaze could have been the result of foul play. On December 25th, a fuel container at the Israel Oil Refinery's Bazan facility ignited, threatening other sensitive facilities nearby. Firefighters battled the blaze for hours before succeeding to extinguish the flames, preventing injury or damage. Conclusions formed by the investigative team appointed by the Environmental Protection Ministry found suspicions of foul play. The ministry's Green Police, meanwhile, has opened a criminal probe into the matter, saying further details will be released to the public at its end. A statement issued by Bazan said the facility operates in accordance with all applicable laws and standards, among the strictest in the Western world. In local money matters, shares were up on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, while the shekel was mixed in foreign currency trading. Here are the numbers. And taking a look at the forecast, and light local rain is predicted in the north and along the coast. Snow is expected on Mount Hermon. Here are the highs and lows for the next 24 hours at home and abroad. And that's all for this newscast. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Until then, I'm Laura Cornfield, wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.